A letter detailing the development of a secret flying saucer, Project 1794, in collaboration with Avro Canada, was declassified by the U.S. Air Force in 2012. With a potential range of over 1,000 nautical miles and a ceiling of over 100,000 feet, the aircraft could reach speeds of Mach 3 to Mach 4. The project's strange design would wage psychological warfare on the adversary while it sought to track down Soviet long-range bombers. The British aircraft designer Jack Frost, whose real name was John Carver Meadows Frost, was the brains behind the Avro automobile flying saucer. He worked on the CF-100, Canada's first fighter jet project, and experimental supersonic aircraft. Frost established the Special Projects Group, an organization of engineers and experimental designers engaged in top-secret creative endeavors. In the 1950s, Frost worked in the aviation business, developing vertical takeoff and landing technology since common wisdom declared that a nuclear war would devastate air bases. With the combination of vertical takeoff and landing technology and supersonic speed developments, Avro Canada's Project Y offered the prospect of building a circular aircraft that resembled a flying saucer. Low-altitude flying was made possible by the turbojet aircraft's design, which used engine exhaust to power a turbo rotor for thrust and provide an air cushion. But because of the project's enormous expenditures, the Canadian government reduced financing in 1952, almost putting an end to it. Avro Canada hosted U.S. defense delegates in 1953 so they could inspect their brand-new CF-100 fighter plane. Frost showed them Project Y mock-ups and design documentation after being impressed with U.S. investment in cutting-edge technology. With backing from Avro management, the U.S. Air Force gave Frost a $750,000 contract in 1956 and another $2.25 million for a prototype. The United States boosted funds in 1957, enabling them to construct a prototype. After examining many designs for vertical takeoff and landing, the Special Projects team chose to build a supersonic disc-shaped fighter with a raised engine section and horizontal air intake slats. Frost's proposal provided the possibility of reaching Mach 3.5 at heights of about 30,000 meters or 100,000 feet. Some U.S. Air Force branches, however, were looking for financing for their own experimental pet projects, such as nuclear-powered aircraft. Therefore, not all members backed the idea. Originally, a new engine consisting of 6 Armstrong Siddeley Viper engines on the outside rim of a rotor was to be used. However, the engine PV-704 proved to be unstable, catching fire 3 times. Frost pursued less risky options when the engine blew up on the last test in 1956 due to an engine failure. Frost constructed the Avrocar, a scaled-down proof-of-concept aircraft, while modifying the engine idea. He presented the concept to the U.S. Air Force, which awarded him a combined services budget of $2 million for 2 versions. The Air Force allocated $1.77 million for the second model's development and $700,000 for the 606A program. In addition, Frost constructed an aerodynamic testbed for the final WS-606 model. At launch, the Avrocar was supposed to be able to hover for 10 minutes, travel 25 miles, and carry 1,000 pounds of cargo. Frost made optimistic estimates, but the Avrocar did not meet the U.S. Air Force's requirements. The Canadian government's decision to abandon the Avro CF-105 Aero program in 1959 dealt a serious blow to the program, resulting in the majority of Avro Canada personnel being let off and a decline in performance and satisfaction. The Special Projects team had inconsistent working circumstances, which made their performance worse. The development of the flying disc's anticipated final version, WS-606A, was shelved by the U.S. Air Force Project Office. The crew had to beg Frost to let them continue working when they received a work order. Finances were restored even though some Air Force men objected. The air cushion used to lift the Avro vehicle would become unstable high heights, rendering it unflyable and unable to attain supersonic speeds, according to scale model tests conducted at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. In spite of this, research was done to investigate Frost technology for the military. The static hover rig was used to test Avrocar 5 8-7055, the first vehicle to come out of the molten Mississauga plant in 1959. The exhaust producing hot gas into the intakes, decreasing engine performance, and the fan creating lift that only covered a tiny portion of the vehicle's surface were among the issues found. Because it could not support more weight than it weighed, the Avrocar, a vehicle intended for fast flying, was initially unable to hover above ground effect. The car was sent to Moffett Field in California, where it underwent unannounced wind tunnel testing. NASA found the aircraft to be unstable and challenging to operate at high speeds. Performance was increased by using the second Avrocar prototype with several changes. On November 12, 1959, the first free flight test was carried out. Nevertheless, problems with the spoilers and nozzle control system made lifting challenging. A total of 18.5 hours of flying time were spent on the 5 initial test flights. On December 5, 1959, testing was put on hold. For the second Avrocar model, Frost suggested a new program to redesign the control and propulsion systems. Based on research from the Ames Research Center, the initial model was modified, and testing on it was recommenced in April 1961. With the enhanced design, hover capabilities and lift speed of 100 knots, or 190 km per hour, were achieved. Still, there were problems with the aircraft's pitch, and the nose tipped upwards when in flight. With a maximum speed of 20 knots, or 37 km per hour, the aircraft underperformed when the second Avrocar system was reworked. The automobile failed an altitude test, but severe instability prevented the second portion from gaining much height. After about 75 test flight hours, the Avrocar prototype had uncontrollable roll and pitch motions that were not resolved by the Special Projects team. The automobile was loud and hot, with a limited speed limit and the ability to merely hover over the ground. Lack of basic stealth would have to be taken into account for military usage. Frost still had faith in the aircraft's potential, though, and he made demands for more changes. The Avrocar was cancelled in 1961 because no one was interested in seeing more liftjet or disc aircraft with vertical takeoff and landing. Executives at Avro Canada were encouraged by the advancements, but they were unable to get finance. The Special Projects Division was shut down. The United States is the owner of the 2 Avrocar models that were made. The second model was shipped to Canada for repair and exhibition. The National Museum of the United States Air Force in Ohio later borrowed the first model, which had been delivered to the National Air and Space Museum in Maryland. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos on aviation history and technology. You can also check out some of my other videos on the screen right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.